Barry Allen. I'm the Chief of Energy and Building Automation for the county. To kind of define when I say the county, what that means is I'm underneath the Commission of Public Works, and I'm responsible for the 940 some electrical accounts that the county manages and maintains. That includes the port, the airport, convention center, as well as the other buildings that fall underneath the county commission, the courts, the parks, human services, some of the sheriff's offices, some of the fire stations. So I'm responsible for the energy consumption and evaluation of energy for each of those buildings. Recently, the county embarked upon, awarded a ESCO, or energy saving performance contract, excuse me, out of two different companies. Siemens being one of them, and Optera, who's now rechanged her name to NG, was the two of the companies awarded to. And their direction is go out throughout the county and look at our buildings. Now, the buildings I had them look at was about 90 different buildings, and encompassing about a little over 4 million square feet of what they looked at. They looked at everything, any type of energy conservation measure or facilities improvement measure, depending on which company you talk to, how they addressed it. They looked at everything: water conservation, building envelope, roofs, solar, renewables. And renewables was a big thing. It was a big line in their agreement that we specifically wanted to look at that stuff also. That was a whole section in itself below the scope of work. So as part of that, they went through and looked across at all, like I said, almost like probably about 150 buildings is what they looked at, and we only give them 90 days to do it. So they were hustling to look at those buildings. On the 17th of January, they provided the report back to us on what they found and projects they're proposing. Whenever they embarked on this, we give them kind of direction of, look at this stuff, look at stuff that has a payback based on the Florida statutes, and we have to live within the boundaries of that because of what the agreement states. So they came back. Siemens met with us a few times in between, and Optera kind of just met with in the end, and kind of give them more direction along of, yeah, look here, no, that may not be right. They looked at LED lighting for some of our soccer fields. Well, that's great, but those soccer fields aren't really on a lot of times, so that wasn't really real attractive payback, even though it was a great idea. So what they did is they looked at all of our buildings. They came back with proposals and projects for solar in various locations. We've looked at it with the director of facilities management, who I report to, and we met with a lot of the finance people to we're still crunching the numbers. We're looking at the projects as a whole. We're looking at the feasibility of some of the projects, and we didn't really, the projects they're proposed, we really just restrict our thoughts to just those projects, because there might be other stuff, other projects, other locations we were looking for solar and other types of renewable. So we're evaluating, what they're proposing, areas where they didn't look at, because when we give them this information, it was this from actual concept to the actual report was about a 5-year process. So over that period of time, a lot has changed. As far as the buildings we wanted to look at, there were some buildings we initially had on the list. And the way I broke the list up is I broke it up into two equal lists, as square footage wise and types of buildings. They both got equal amount of libraries, equal amount of courthouses, equal amount of parks, equal amount of human services like the health departments, barks, and your sexual assault centers. So they got a pretty good balance of the buildings. One of them got a few more buildings than the other, but the square footage is about the same, and the type of building. And as part of that, we also give them their energy use index. We took all those buildings, all those 100 and some buildings, and we put them in energy portfolio, and we modeled all of them. And the way they went into it knowing what our buildings are, and we went into it knowing and we give them direction. We knew buildings had some higher energy use index, and I know that's one of the commissioner's goals was reduce our energy efficiency in our building, or the EUI of our buildings, as it's laid out in the portfolio manager. So they went out and looked at it, and they came back with a bunch of projects, probably over I would say about almost 500 projects, 400 or 500 projects to do energy conservation measures from all. The most creative one was for an ice machine, where the water going to the ice machine, use the ice in the ice machine to pre-cool the water going in the ice machine, so it doesn't work so hard to make ice. and other one was surge protector. So it was you know, we told them to really think outside the box of, you know, you really get creative with other ways. So, but and as part of that list development, there was buildings that were on there that we ended up, like I said, having to remove because we just, like the county, the commissioner decided like, no, we're not going to be that building. And there was other buildings like, hey, there's another building we're about to buy or another building they're about to build. So it was very much a fluid list. Although when we give them the list, we give them the list probably July of last year. So they've been working on it through development, through negotiation. So it's been a while. So anyway, so that's basically it. We're evaluating the projects they give us, evaluating the solar projects they give us, and we're kind of analyzing the best sites to look at, the sites sites they did look at that we should have had them look at, or sites that they looked at and said there's no way there's a payback there, and we may come back and say, well, maybe there's something else that we could do. Because there might be something they looked at and said, no, there's no way you could do it because of the structure of the roof. But then we may look at it and say, you know what? We have a little bit more information on that roof that might be feasible, maybe more feasible than what you thought. Because they couldn't do a full structural analysis of a lot of our roofs, or any of them, because there wasn't a lot of time. But they're information we could provide them that they may come back and say, you know what? Now that you've given us that, we may look at those locations now. But to kind of sum it up is we're still looking at all these 500 some projects and also all the solar projects they've proposed.